Buying real estate in the Caribbean has become very popular lately. If 5 years ago, most of the people buying property here were those who planned to spend a lot of time in the region, typically retirees who made up about 80% of all real estate buyers, today the situation is completely different. Today, retirees make up no more than 40% of buyers. The rest purchase property with the intention of spending only a little time here and earning income from short-term rentals the rest of the time. Of course, many Caribbean property owners do come here from time to time, but as a rule, they don't spend more than a total of 2 months a year here. Why have such drastic changes occurred over the past 5 years? Well, first of all, the coronavirus pandemic played a very significant role. In Canada and the USA, whose citizens are the main buyers of Caribbean real estate, very strict restrictions were imposed during the pandemic. During this time, many people moved to the Caribbean in search of places where they could live a more normal life. Of course, there were restrictions here as well, but for the most part, they affected residents of large cities. In resort areas, if there were any restrictions, they were not as significant and lasted for a much shorter period. After spending some time here, newcomers were able to fully experience life in the Caribbean paradise, unlike tourists who only come for a week. Many people simply did not want to return after the pandemic ended, and having sold their property in their home countries, they moved here for good. I know over a dozen families who moved here during the pandemic. The second wave started after it ended, when many realized the chance to work remotely would become permanent for many. Today, many people have the opportunity, if not to work remotely on a permanent basis, then at least to leave for an extended period of time. And of course, for them, buying real estate in the Caribbean became a very attractive option. Then, especially in the most popular destinations like Costa Rica and the Dominican Republic, a chain reaction began. Demand creates supply. If previously mostly fairly budget-friendly complexes aimed at retirees were built here, then with the arrival of a different category of buyers, developers quickly shifted gears and started building what the buyers wanted to see. Let me give you an example. In the Punta Cana area in 2020, 80% of the housing being built consisted of budget complexes specifically designed for retirees, and only 20% accounted for the so-called luxury projects. Today, the share of luxury projects being built here has exceeded 75%. In addition, sensing the growing demand, major developers with impeccable reputations entered the market here. And the problem that had previously stopped many people resolved itself. The fact that buying from some unknown small developer, mostly the ones building here at the time, was risky. As a result, even more people decided to buy, and demand exceeded supply by several times. Accordingly, prices also began to rise. There was also a sudden surge in demand for apartment rentals. Whereas previously vacationers would mostly come here for a week in hotels, once remote work became possible, they started renting apartments in apart hotels and complexes, offering short-term apartment rentals. 90% of the luxury complexes that have been built here recently, and those currently under construction, are condo hotels where apartment owners rent them out short-term through centralized management. In addition, in many Caribbean countries, taxes are several times lower than in the US or Canada. And many people whose businesses are internet-based and not tied to a specific location have started obtaining residency here, which as a rule is granted almost automatically when you purchase real estate here. As a result, those who obtained residency here began paying significantly lower taxes than they used to in the US or Canada, and those who want to minimize the taxes they pay from their business have created yet another niche of additional potential buyers. Tourist flow here is growing daily. In 2023, tourists visiting the Dominican Republic rose by 25% in just 1 year, reaching 10 million. Demand for apartment rentals has also multiplied. If before 2020 more than 90% of vacationers stayed in hotels, today more than 30% already choose to rent apartments. And this trend will continue. Although hotels are fully booked and vacation prices keep rising, the influx of visitors staying longer than before has shown a shortage of infrastructure. And in places where the authorities responded appropriately, they immediately began building hospitals, shopping malls, restaurants, entertainment centers. In short, things that previously were not in high demand among those staying in hotels, but have now become necessities for people spending longer periods here. Naturally, this has affected the economy as a whole. A very good example, once again, is the Dominican Republic, where workers' salaries and business owners' incomes have increased significantly over the past 5 years. A wealthy class of local residents has emerged who, along with foreigners, are now willing to purchase newly built apartments. And this in turn has increased demand and affected prices, and consequently, the investment appeal of buying real estate here. If previously investors relied almost exclusively on rental income, since property appreciation here was minimal, today real estate in the Caribbean region is, on average, increasing in value by 5 to 10% per year, and in some places even more. Accordingly, investors' returns have increased several times over. Unlike in the US and Canada, there are still very few speculators here who buy at the early stages of construction and resell the property upon completion. Most of the people investing money here are in it for the long term and plan to hold on to their properties for many years, earning excellent passive income. In my opinion, the growth potential here is enormous. After all, by our standards, real estate here is still very cheap. And I wouldn't be surprised if prices here double in the next 10 years. So take advantage of the situation while you still can. And as for us, we'll help you make the right choice and find the property that suits you best. See you again on the channel.